Heather sent in a question asking about training with a heart rate monitor and utilizing the Garmin dashboard. I'm a big fan of the Garmin dashboard because it's so user-friendly. Going out and doing the workouts and doing the racing, I find that this platform allows the individual to kind of strip the emotion and get down to the quantitative analysis of how did the body respond before, during, and after. Whether that's preparation, whether it's race strategy, dehydration, there's a multitude of benefits that comes from the Garmin dashboard. But for the sake of this question, heart rate training is so incredibly beneficial because you're able to see how your body adjusts to heat and humidity, how it adjusts to intensity and duration. Now it's interesting, there's people out there that like to throw the heart rate monitor out on race day and say, go off of your gut. And I have to laugh audibly out loud because it's like saying that a race car driver isn't going to look at the dashboard of knowing what gear they're in to create the ideal power. If the motor is running hot, the temperature gauges are going to send a message. If the driver recognizes that the car isn't putting out the amount of power it normally does, it knows it's because the motor may be exposed to excessive heat. So what does the driver do? He or she adjusts the way they drive to make sure that the car can cross the finish line given the conditions that it's racing under. And that is exactly what the Garmin dashboard does for you. If you look in the description box below, I have a heart rate calculator that you can tap into. Just go to the resources, and when you go there, it'll prompt you, what resources would you like? Click on the heart rate spreadsheet. What you want to do is take your maximum heart rate for that specific modality that you're doing, swimming, biking, running, motorcycle, whatever it may be. And then you want to take your heart rate data that you get from your Garmin, which is extremely accurate. Nobody's influencing that numbers but you. And then what you're able to do is you're able to get the most accurate heart rate zones on both the low end and the high end for 5 specific energy zones. So stop and think about that. If you're wanting to melt body fat away, let me ask you, what would be the highest number that you could achieve before you start tapping into stored sugar and less stored body fat? I hope that really captures your attention. If you're telling me that the purpose of this workout is to drop body fat, you need to make sure that you're controlling the heart rate, because as soon as you go above a certain percentage, you burn progressively more stored sugar and less body fat. But you told me you wanted to lose body fat. If you're telling me you want to work on sprint speed, or you're telling me you want to work on lactate threshold, you've got to get the heart rate high enough to improve that energy system inside the body. Well, if you're just using ambiguous numbers, if you're using default logarithms, the percentage of error is going to be quite high. I've seen it as high as 50%, just to give you an idea. The old 220 minus your age, I've seen that be off by as much as 50%. So why do we use heart rate training? Because it gives us the specific heart rate zones necessary to train to convert a weakness into a strength, but everybody's heart rate numbers are different. Your resting heart rate is going to be influenced by the stress that you're going through. So you wouldn't want to use your resting heart rate from vacation because you have the least amount of stress when you're going through a job change right now. That's why we want to use a current resting heart rate, because it reflects the amount of stress that you're going through. We have an entire formula that we use with our clients. It's beyond the scope of this video, but I just wanted to answer the question, why do we train with heart rate training and why is it so effective? Because it's taking you as an individual, it's taking your current level of fitness, which is your max heart rate number, it's taking the current amount of stress that you're dealing with, resting heart rate, and we put those together, and now we know you're training with the appropriate zones. If we know what energy systems we need to improve, maybe we need to improve muscular endurance or lactate tolerance, as I mentioned, great. Let's make sure that you're training hard enough, you're getting above a certain threshold of number to make sure that you're improving that energy system. So I could continue to talk about this for hours, but I do find it funny, people who consider themselves experts that say just dismiss the heart rate monitor and go deep on race day. You wouldn't drive your car or truck without looking at the dashboard. A race car driver doesn't just close his or her eyes and just hope for the best and go off their intuition. They're going off of the combination of a lot of mechanical elements, and the body's obviously more complex than a car ever will be. Let's respect that. Great question as always. And if you happen to have a question, please feel free to send it in. You can send that to contact@coachrob.com. I appreciate your time watching the video, and we will see you tomorrow.